Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott and this is Golden Era Aged Guitars. Now, it's been a while since the last video and I do owe an apology for that for anybody who's been looking out for updates and previews and kind of roundups of what's been going on. I actually picked up an injury, self-inflicted injury, which makes it even worse, about 2 months ago. It really badly affected my right arm, my right hand, and there's been a lot of pain. There's been some medication, there's been some physiotherapy involved, and it's a work in progress, but it's a lot better than it was. So I kind of feel at the minute that the custom orders are nearly back to where I'm happy with them. I've got a few going out now at the start of the week, hopefully, with the bits and pieces that will sell from the drop preview that I'm doing here. And yeah, everything's kind of, the flow's kind of moving nicely is all I can say. So the main reason I'm doing this video, obviously though, is to do the preview for tomorrow night, which is the July 19th drop. And it's really going on to like a 50s theme. So you'll see what I'm getting at in a second. We're going to start with this blonde Strat body. Now, this is more tinted, but it is a blonde burst, which you can probably see just around the horn, especially just with the way the light is. And I've kind of shown this with a single ply white scratch plate, which would indicate a more mid-50s sort of vibe. We'll get on to how versatile this is in a second, but right now I want to stick this on the scales. The only thing I haven't done on any of the pieces so far is I haven't put serial numbers on them, so I need to stamp them in tomorrow. Do all the photographs nice and fresh tomorrow morning. I've actually been at the point of doing this video, I've been working for 13 hours straight, so it's been a long day. Starting in kilos with this one, it's just over 2 kilos, which puts it at 4 pounds 8.6 ounces. General rule of thumb, add about 3 pounds for your neck, hardware and electronics. So that gives you an idea of what you're going to be able to expect from this particular body. Now, just while the hardware is off, I'm going to have a look and without knocking the tripod over. Lots of checking, lots of smaller marks, I would say, just to allow the checking to flow a bit more between them. Hardware tan lines, so you can just see that kind of got that fading effect going on. If there's any problems with the camera on my phone, it's been a bit strange at the minute. Unfortunately, it's not been playing ball, which is really annoying because it's my only way of recording stuff. So again, I've shown it with a single ply white, but what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put, this is kind of giving away one of the pieces that I was going to do in the next segment of the video, but that was kind of the idea there. You got that mid-50s white guard inspired vibe going on, but this is a parchment scratch plate, which needs a little bit of discoloration, I reckon, to make it more suitable. But you can also stick a rosewood neck with that, and I think that's kind of more like a 60-61 sort of vibe. I could be wrong. I think it looks cool either way. So a good versatile blonde Strat body. I think you can do things with this, which is nice. So I'll just flick it over actually while we've got the hardware off. Yeah, 2-piece swamp ash, lovely grain, bit of dirt sinking into the grain pattern as well. Just really nice. I know on the camera it can look, it's a bit more subtle in real life. It's not as contrasty as you see it on the camera, which again, the downfall of an iPhone. So on the back we've got, again, the hardware tan lines. It's got a lovely grain pattern to this. Nice deep cut contours. So that'll sit nice and close to the body, and then as you can see, it's got a nice gradient on the forearm. A little bit of buckle rash, not much, a little bit of paint missing. You've probably seen on the blonde burst telly bodies I do, if you've had a look on the website, they're predominantly intact. There's nothing like what you would call heavily aged. It's all really focusing on creating small marks and scuffs and dings and scrapes, just to allow you to see how nice the swamp ash is through that finish. So it's not always the case that I do that, but I just thought on this particular one that would be the way to go forward with it. So that is going to be GE438 or 9, something like that. We're kind of up into those numbers. So I haven't stamped it yet. I'll do that. Tomorrow morning, and then I'll take all the photographs, as I've said. So we'll call it quits on that one, and we'll move on to the next piece. And here is the second body for the drop. Now, I think I was going to do the neck, actually, but I changed my mind. I grabbed this body. This is not for the faint-hearted. This kind of goes completely against everything I just said for the blonde burst body you've just seen. This is a kind of nod to those bodies and guitars. It's a predominantly, well, I've seen a lot of strats that look like this. It's more inspired from those gold top Les Pauls that you see, very high humidity conditions they've been in. And this is kind of my little way of doing it on a strat body. So, you know, let's probably get the technical stuff out of the way first. Again, two-piece swamp ash is a standard for what I like to use. And this one's 4 pounds, 5 ounces, and a little tiny bit. 1.966 kilograms. So not totally unsimilar to the blonde burst body, just while I've got the hardware off. This is not for the faint-hearted at all. I love the way you see those checked guitars, and it's always around this area. It's where your hand rubbing constantly into the lacquer, and it causes all sorts of patina. It causes sweat, all that acidic sweat, oils, salt, you name it. It's all going into that lacquer, and it stays there. It doesn't come out. It just stays there, and it starts to eat away at the lacquer. It starts to delaminate it almost from the body, and you just get these random wear patterns. Obviously, you've got the arm coming over the top of the contour, but for the most part, it's all about that really dirty sweat eating checking. So it's absolutely brilliant, but it's a very hard thing to control. It's not, you know, you can't just you can't decide this is the way it's going to go. This is as random a process as anything else that you could possibly imagine. It is so random how this ends up. I'm absolutely delighted with how this looks. Even to get that particular color, it's a very, it's not grey and it's not brown. It's somewhere in between. Now, it might not come through on camera, but I know what I'm talking about because I've looked at enough of these old guitars to know that particular color quite well. It's just that sweat-eaten wood color, for want of a better term. So again, single ply white, mid-50s sort of thing, early to mid-50s sort of vibe. I reckon you could, I mean, the thing I've done with this is it is going to be classed as a two-tone, but this particular band, this, I would say like a chestnutty brown, it's got a bit of, there's definitely a red hue to it, but it's not something, you could maybe call it like a faded 58, 59. So you could possibly get away with a mint scratch plate on it and a rosewood neck again. I think it would look absolutely killer. I'm just going to grab that neck again and we'll stick the parchment on. I dare say the parchment looks white on camera, which is annoying, but yeah, you could get away with that, couldn't you? I think you could get away with that. But again, it will be listed as a two-tone because that is, I sprayed it. I know that that's what it is. There was no second. This is actually, believe it or not, this actually the gradient of this color. This has actually been layered up to the point where it's fullest opaque. It's like a black brown mix I use, and this is it. The gradient, this is it done. So it is strictly done with two colors, but you wouldn't think to look at it. So again, big highlight on the tan lines, which you can see very clearly. So original color, and then obviously aged out. I flick it over and the back gets even more interesting. The idea with this is, imagine somebody has been playing this guitar for 50, 60 years, whatever. They've played it in the same position. They have sweat exactly the same every single gig. They just ooze sweat. And the bits that rub against the body are the bits that suffer the most. And that's exactly what I have tried to show here. Just proper nice dirty checking. A really, really cool patina. And randomness. I think a lot of the big problem is whenever, not really giving anything away as such, but whenever you are going to do these, you always see this big thing out there that's the template relic in inverted commas, where everything looks the same. It's like, well, you know, if it's a manufacturing line, then yeah, maybe everything has to look the same for speed. But when you get into the nitty gritty and you're doing a one-on-one sort of thing, you can absolutely have some fun. You can take your time and you can create that randomness. You can create that story. So my story for this is, same dude has been playing this guitar all his life. He has sweat in exactly the same places, and he has oozed himself, poured himself literally onto this guitar. And that's, yeah, that's pretty much all you can say about it, really. This is a nice dirty patina two-tone strat. But what's always interesting about these things is, sometimes some of the most fascinating guitars I've seen, and you guys will know what I'm talking about, they have a big massive wear patch here and the rest of the guitar is clean. And it's so funny that you can have somebody who's really careful with a guitar or anything, but if it keeps getting used in the same spot, it's going to show wear. But that doesn't mean to say that the person's hashy or anything, or they don't care. It just means that that's how they play their guitar. So I always find it absolutely amazing. It always seems to be sunbursts that I see the most. You always see this big massive wear patch. The rest of the guitar is fairly clean, and albeit this has got some wear around the entire guitar, especially in the back, but around the sides, yeah, predominantly clean. And it's not got any massive whose guitar is it that has the pick attack above the pickups? For Sante stuff, isn't his guitars have that? I think is there a Kenny Wayne Shepherd Strat out there as well? It has a big massive section just missing here. I know that's copied quite a lot, but I was very keen to stay away from that sort of vibe. Just my personal taste. So this actually has, I don't know if it's coming across on camera, it's not a full gloss. It's kind of got a more satin sheen to it. So again, just that kind of smoky bar club sort of idea. Constant contact has just worn the gloss down to that satin finish. So all in all, that's two pretty killer mid-50s style bodies so far. And I guess maybe, well, I would say the bit everybody's waiting for is this neck that I have shown. So let's take a look. Well, it's about time, I hear you all say, and you're absolutely right. It is about time, and it's happening right now. Finally, another neck available in a drop that is not a custom order. This is an all parts fat maple strat neck. Now, when I say fat, that's, I believe, their description of it. But man, that's a handful. That's a proper strat neck. That is an inch here, so it's a full inch front to back, and it's a full inch here, so it doesn't taper away, doesn't get any thinner, doesn't get any narrower or anything like that. This is a big lovely neck. So It's got that usual, there's no V's or any big U-shaped neck. This is kind of like this is like the SRO and the TRO necks, where it's just that fuller C, if you want to call it that. And although I've got small hands, and I really, really do have small hands, I actually have grown to love the bigger necks for some reason. It kind of feels like I'm holding something, like I'm actually able to get my hand around it. So I think this is absolutely killer. Now this was done in mind, and I'll put it with the strat, the Sunburst, in a second, but I might even put a picture into the video somewhere at the end. But this was done with that kind of high wear, humidity, sweat, constantly played to death sort of thing going on. And all these details that you don't see, unfortunately, on Instagram, but you can see if I roll the light over that fretboard, it might not look checked from a couple of feet away, but that thing is absolutely checked to what I would say for myself, I would say perfection for me. I absolutely love that. Absolutely love it. So much patina. And of course the finger wear, which I'm assuming most people like that. This is, I guess, you know, for me, I would call that quite a heavily aged neck. I do know some people would call that still maybe medium. I'm quite comfortable with that level of wear. Another thing I love about these necks is vintage necks, where you get to see maybe where one person has played it, but maybe a guitar's had 2 or 3 owners. So you start to see different wear patterns. But I mean, obviously whoever owned this, whoever played this, was happy to make their money at the cowboy chords. Absolutely great. And then we've got some A pentatonics, we've got some E pentatonics going on as well. Something that I get asked quite a lot whenever I do necks is how do these get worn? Now these are properly dimpled, which I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that on camera. You'll see it in the photographs. If you keep an eye on Instagram, you'll see the photographs. But if you can imagine when somebody's playing their guitar, you'll see people do this, and I'll actually just grab this strap body, and you'll get to see where the neck sits. And you'll have all seen people play a guitar like this. I know Keith Richards is a massive fan of playing his guitar in this section, and that's just that's strumming. That's the pick attack going across that, and it eventually just eats the lacquer away, and eventually then you get the wood starts to wear through as well. So if I take this off and just let you see, you can kind of get an idea of where I was going with all this. This was ideally something like that would work well together as one guitar, but obviously I know that is not the case. Somebody might want the body, somebody might want the neck, and that's absolutely fine. So headstock wise, nice rounded out volute, the transition between the shaft and the actual headstock, nicely rounded, which you can see the light just catching it there, that little highlight. So it's not a sharp edge, that's all nicely rounded out. Aged tuners again, those are all done individually. Again, I don't buy the pre-aged ones. I like having that control over what I'm doing and how something's going to look. And bone nut, cut and installed from a blank by Ernie McMillan, who also leveled the frets. This thing is ready just to go on. This is good to go. Straight onto your guitar. It's got a nice, it's like, although it does look glossy, you can still run your hand up and down that, no problem. There's, as far as I'm concerned, your hand's not going to stick on that. But again, everybody sweats a little bit differently and everybody feels things differently. So I would say to you that my hand is not catching on that. But again, how you play it and how much you perspire and all that kind of stuff, it might feel a bit different in your hands. So there we go, guys. That is a couple of items good to go in the drop for tomorrow night. One thing I am going to do, which I just realized it is sitting right next to me, which is really cool. This is the Tahitian coral, which was sitting right next to me. This is actually on the website now. On the website, I'm good to go, so I can talk about this for just a second so as not to keep you, because I'm sure you guys have all seen this body on Instagram plenty and on the website. So the difference with this one is this is one piece swamp ash. Now, some of you might ask the question, well, Scott, why did you paint one piece swamp ash a solid color? My answer to that is just because something is one piece swamp ash, just because it's two piece swamp ash, if it's not pretty enough to do what I would like to do with it, it's going to get a solid color. And because of the amount of alder bodies that I would do in standard colors, I kind of thought I'll make it really difficult for myself. I'll put a Tahitian coral paint job on a one-piece swamp ash body. Unfortunately, yes, one-piece swamp ash does cost more than two-piece, but some people like that and some people don't mind that it costs a bit extra. So this one is, there's a bit of a story on this one. I didn't come up with any idea. I suddenly thought, I love those guitars where somebody has loved the guitar so much, they've played it so much, they have lived with it, they've rescued it from a fire, they love it so much. That sort of vibe and idea, that they put their name on it somewhere. So just for a little bit of inspiration, I thought, I hit Google, and I was looking for kind of southern US states based names. I had this thing in my head that this belonged to somebody who played in New Orleans or somewhere. I have no idea why that came into my head, but there was a couple of names popped up when I was looking at it, and I put them together. I just kind of potlucked them and put them together. And the name that came out was Buddy Boone. And I thought, that's pretty cool. I like that name. You know, BB and all that. So I did that to the back of the body. So this was Buddy Boone's guitar. Let's just say he was from New Orleans or the surrounding area. And it wasn't until I actually came away, I thought, oh, should have maybe done a bit of research to find out if there is a famous Buddy Boone, because how embarrassing would that be if I've ripped somebody off. So it turns out that Buddy Boone played ice hockey for the Boston Bruins in the late 50s, and he played for just for what happens to be my favorite NHL team, the Boston Bruins. So very, very strange coincidence. It was absolutely 100% not planned. It was just a very, very strange coincidence. So I had a bit of a laugh to myself about that, and then thought, well, actually, do you know what? Maybe the guy did play guitar. Who am I to say? But this is not, if anybody Googles Buddy Boone, this is not meant to be I think it was 1957-58 season. I think his name was Carl Buddy Boone. This is not his guitar. This is not me pretending this to be his guitar, but kind of funny. Boston Bruins, who thought? There you go. So we've got a bit of a 50s theme going on. We've got Tahitian coral is actually a 50s color. It's not a 60s color like I've read and seen some people say it was originally a 50s color, and most of them were 50s colors. It just so happened they were then popularized in the early 60s with the Fender color chart. So we've got Swamp Ash Trio will be on the website tomorrow night. So we'll have the Tahitian coral along with the two-tone sunburst and the blonde and a maple neck. So if you're looking to do a 50s inspired build, you got it. You can go and have some fun. With that said, guys, I'll love you and leave you. I appreciate you for watching, and thank you so much for this continued support. Above and beyond anything, the people who are waiting for me to do work for them, I appreciate your patience, and I do apologize, because you can't always cry that you've got an injury when you're self-employed. It's just the way life goes sometimes. You play the hand you're dealt, you muck through it, all that kind of stuff. So thank you for hanging in there with me. Hopefully the updates will come a bit quicker, more fluently. For now though, guys, take it easy, and see you on the next video.